Good afternoon, everyone. We feel honored to have Mr. Nikhil Dhar as our first speaker for the series Marktalks, who is the marketing director of Indigo Airlines and is an alumnus of IIM Kozhikode. He has worked diligently to reach these heights in the field of marketing, and for this reason, he is here to share his real life experiences and give us some useful advices.
Welcome, sir. We're delighted to have you here. Hope you and your family are safe and sound. We would really appreciate if you can say a few words about yourself, the initiative Marktalks taken by the Marketing Society of Shaheed Bhagat Singh College, and about the field marketing before starting the interview.
Sure. Thanks, everyone. I think it's my pleasure to be part of this session. I'm really looking forward for an interactive session. Just about myself. Hi, everyone. This is Nikhil. I've sort of over 12 years of experience working across industries, working across areas. Started my career in consulting, then moved into brand management, and now I head marketing and brand at Indigo.
Thank you, sir. So let's begin with the question.
So first question from our side would be that you have an experience of working as a consultancy analyst at Deloitte, and currently you are working as a marketing director at Indigo. Since these two fields and industries are totally different, how would you define your journey from an analyst to a marketer at an airlines company? And were there any problems that you might have faced during this transition?
Honestly, it has been a roller coaster ride throughout my career. I started off as an analyst at McKinsey. Then I went on to do my MBA, then joined as a consultant at Deloitte. And I worked as a consultant for 4 years. And it was fabulous because I got to travel the world. I spent a lot of time working with clients in US, Europe, China. So it was great fun times. Then I decided to move back and sort of work more closely in India. So worked with the CEO at the Times Group. And the idea there was to sort of build a long-term strategy for the print business, look at digital transformation, and also brand management for Times Group. Post that, I decided to move to Indigo. It's a sunrise sector. Aviation is still very nascent in India. Only less than 5% of our population travels by air. So felt this was sort of an industry to be in. And have been sort of working here over the last 3-4 years and leading the brand and marketing teams. I think there are two things which clearly define all of this sort of roller coaster ride. I think one is eagerness to learn new things, which I feel is very important. I think that's one of very core philosophy that I have, that you should always be learning at whatever stage or age you are. You should continue to learn. And I think the second one is willingness to take up challenges. I think a lot of us sometimes feel that it might be too risky, we won't succeed, etc. But I would just urge everyone to sort of be open to new challenges and always be willing to learn new things. Were there any challenges during the transition? Yes, there were. Obviously, there are. But I think my sort of strong belief in learning new things and taking up challenges sort of helped me tide through them. And I've learned a lot of new things. And honestly, on daily basis, I learn from whether it's my team members, my peers, my seniors, everyone. And there is so much to learn, honestly. So in this VUCA world, which is changing every day, we should just keep ourselves as much updated as possible.
Okay. That's great, sir. And can you mention any of such incident that you would like to mention from these two events, or anything from the roller coaster ride that you mentioned?
So I think, for example, I think one of the good projects that we have done at Indigo. Imagine we started flying and we're doing great. We're launching international flights, and then COVID hit us, and the complete consumer behavior completely changed from taking traveling so granted. People became so apprehensive about sort of traveling, and that's where we sort of had to pivot and understand what are the new consumer behavior insights. Right, earlier people were so worried about what is the quality of the food, how good is the seat, do I get enough leg room in your aircraft, and now if you look at consumer behavior, they don't care about all of that. All they care about is my aircraft sanitized? Is our staff wearing the PPE kit? Is everything contactless? Are we following social distancing, etc.? So imagine there was complete flip in how we sort of operated our business, and that's where we sort of had to learn, unlearn, do new things, do a lot of digital transformation. So a lot of our processes, which were manual, were sort of moved digital. Now you can sort of book your sort of have your own e-boarding pass. You can even book your sort of print your own baggage tag at home. So you don't even have to go to the counter to sort of get those baggage tags. You can print them home, put them on your baggages at home, and all you have to do is just drop them at the airport. So there were a lot of those changes, and I think all of these changes, challenges, just keeps things really excited. And as I said, I think learning it's a core philosophy. I always feel that you should always sort of keep learning and doing new things.
That's great, sir. So moving ahead, how well did IIM Kozhikode treated you, and how was it different from your undergrad college?
I think it was fabulous being at IIM Kozhikode. Honestly, what an MBA does is sort of opens up your mind a lot. I think you get a lot of opportunity to learn and grow. And when I now think about my MBA after a decade, I think there are a few things which really sort of stand out, which your MBA sort of helps. One very strongly, I believe, is structured thinking. I think through case studies, etc., you get an opportunity to sort of learn how to break big problems into small problems. That's very important because all the problems seem really big when you look at them. But what sort of your training over there and your education over there does is you understand how do you break these bigger problems into smaller chunks and then solve them individually, and that's how you're able to solve like a massive problem. Second, I think what it really helps you do is to become very solution oriented. You sort of want to know rather than just understanding the problem, you're also trying to understand what are the ways to solve for it, and it's very critical. I think whenever someone joins a corporate job, solution orientation approach is very important because at the end of the day there'll be a lot of problems. And it's very valid for personal or professional life, right? There always will be problems, but how do you solve for it and how do you become solution oriented is important. I think third, which becomes very critical and more important than an undergraduate, is working in teams. I think in MBA, the curriculum is structured in such a way that you are forced to work in teams. There are always group work. There's a lot of group work, and team dynamics. It's a very interesting thing, right? People really want to work. Some really don't want to work. So you have to sort of make sure how do you work in those team environments, because at the end of the day, when you move into a job, all you're doing is working in teams, whether it's small teams or large teams. Very rarely you do individual contribution roles. You do, but it's rare. You typically are working with teams. So it's important to learn how do you work in teams, how these dynamics work, etc. That plays an important role. And lastly, I think how do you sort of learn to network? I think that's very important. I think one of the strong networks, etc., that I've built over the time, most of them are from my MBA days. So you reach out to people, you learn how to sort of talk to, network with people from varied background, because people have come from vast backgrounds. Some of them are engineers, some of them are doctors, some of them have a BCom experience, some of them have 7 years of experience, some of them are freshers. So there is such a wide variety of people when at an MBA school, that it gives you that opportunity to sort of learn to network and understand. So I think all of that was a great experience. I think I would say 2 years at IIM Kozhikode were great. Really loved it. Would definitely recommend any grade B schools. Obviously, IIM Kozhikode is also a very great school. And the fact that it was on top of a hill really made our sort of 2 years journey fabulous at IIM Kozhikode.
That was really attractive, sir. We will surely go there.
Yeah. Okay. So moving forward, what are some of the attributes you think that a marketer should retain from the university level?
So I think what has happened is, I think over the last, I would say, decade or so, marketing has also evolved a lot. So earlier, everyone thought that marketing is all about being creative. So if you're not creative, there's no point of going into marketing, because it's all about being creative. It's about creating ads, and that's all it is. But I think marketing has evolved a lot over the, as I said, last decade or so, and it has now become a mix of art and science. So it's no longer just being creative, but I think it's also important to understand what is the data, etc. So from that perspective, I think one of the key aspects that a student should sort of try to understand at sort of a university level is to how do you understand consumer behavior and insights. So things like market research, which are not that much talked about and students don't invest that much time, are becoming very critical at this point of time, because at the end of the day, you really want to understand what consumer want. We talked about that example of how when COVID hit, right, the whole consumer behavior changed. So earlier it was all about legroom, quality of food, and then completely the whole consumer behavior change. So it's very important as a marketer to understand what is the real consumer behavior, because then only you can, one, understand their needs, then create products for them which are relevant for them, and also understand how do you communicate the benefits of those products, and where do you communicate. Because if you understand your consumer, you know whether he or she consumes it on digital platform, he or she consumes it on newspaper or radio or something else, or is your consumer sort of an urban consumer, or it's your consumer sort of a NCSBC category, or that sort of a category. So that you understand, if you understand consumer, you are able to sort of, your communication, you're able to really deliver. So that's very important. I think the second thing which is becoming very important is data analytics. With so much data coming in, I think about consumers, whether when they reach, when they come to our website, what do they do, where do they click first, what do they purchase, where do they drop off, etc. And other things. Data is becoming such a critical part of marketing. I think so for someone to really start thinking, they should start sort of creating some, start investing some time into understanding data analytics. I think third thing, which is a bit underrated, is strategy. I think I know marketing, besides creativity, etc. I think strategy also plays an important role, because when you're doing marketing and building brands, it typically takes time, right? So you need to plan for that strategy over 3 to 5 years. Just to give an example, at Indigo, right? For example, when we launched Indigo 15 years back, it was very clear that as a brand, we'll do three things which will make us different from other airlines. One was to keep it really simple. So Indigo's brand philosophy is just keep it really simple. There is a dotted aircraft. Our languages, we just talk very simple, very easy to understand. Second was to keep it consistent. So our blue color is consistent across. So we don't deviate from our blue color. And if you look at any of our communication, there is a blue and a dotted aircraft. We don't necessarily need to write Indigo over there. People will understand, oh, this is an Indigo communication. So consistency is very important. Third was to keep it differentiated, right? Create something which was different. So the font that we have was specially created for Indigo, because we wanted to sort of make it differentiated in the market. So that's why, but that was someone put up that strategy, right? And we made sure that strategy continued for 3 to 5 years. And now honestly, it is continuing for 15 years. So that's very important. So as a marketer, I think these are like really key skills. Besides, obviously, I think being creative, etc., helps. But understanding consumer behavior, data analytics, and have a strategic kind of mind, I think, are really important for anyone who's planning to sort of get into marketing.
That was really great, sir. So moving ahead, the onset of COVID-19 has proven a descent for several business and corporations. So how do you think it impacted the marketing atmosphere of the enterprises on a comprehensive level and Indigo for you?
Rightly so. I think COVID has sort of changed the dynamics at marketing a lot. I think the basics remains the same. I think as we talked about understanding consumer behavior, etc. I think those are the basics, right? Those have remained the same. Those haven't changed. But things that have changed are one is on the channel side. I think digital has become more and more critical for organizations as consumers have started spending more time on digital platforms. People are spending more time on Instagram, Facebook, etc., WhatsApps of the world. So for all the organizations, digital channels are becoming more critical. Not to say that other channels are not important. Obviously they are, but the focus has shifted from mainline channels such as TV, print, etc., to digital. That has been a big shift post-COVID. The second thing which has changed for marketing and communication at organizations is that companies have become more transparent in their communication, and it's rightly so. I think because what COVID has done is that people have realized that they don't want fake promises from organizations. They want the real thing, even if that's not 100% sort of positive, but they want the truth from the organization. And this has become also very critical internally, not only externally. So organizations have become more transparent in their communication. The third thing which has definitely changed is that there is a more gratitude within the communications across the organization. So a lot of companies have now started talking about how they can help the society, what they can do better for the community. Because we have seen over the last 1.5 years how many campaigns have sort of come out thanking doctors, thanking various other things. Even at Indigo, for example, we launched a campaign last year in July, which we called Tough Cookies. Right, the idea was to celebrate our doctors and nurses. So what we did was not only we gave them an additional discount over and above whatever was available, a 25% discount. What we made sure was their journey was super special for them, right? Because these people had sort of really put everything out there. So we made sure that when they arrived at the check-in counter, we did a special sort of thank you to them. We made special announcements. We give them a special cookie tin. When they were in the aircraft, we made sure that the cabin crew made an announcement. Everyone sort of really appreciated their efforts. So overall journey was our effort was that if they are with us for 1 to 2 hours during that journey, to make it really special. So I think that is something. So from a marketing perspective, as I said, I think these are 3 things which have changed. Channel shift to digital. From a communication perspective, more transparency, and from a campaign thought process, more gratitude towards the society and community overall.
So moving ahead, is there any message you would like to give us youngsters seeking a marketing as a field? And also, what components should we undergrad imbibe to be placed in companies like Deloitte, McKinsey, etc.?
So I think overall, I think from a career advice, I would broadly give two advice. I think one is a learning attitude. I've already talked about it. I'm a big believer of it. I think we should always be open to learning things. And from anyone, right? You should never be afraid to ask for someone who is even your junior, because he or she might know something which you don't know. So you should always be open to learn new things. That's the one very critical sort of advice to everyone. Second advice, I think, is to be open to take risks. It's always we always have this fear of failure, but I think we should always be ready to take risks. I think that's how you sort of some of them really pay off, but some don't. But as they say, the higher the risk, higher the reward, right? So those are the two things that's important. And honestly, the era of predictable career paths are becoming extinct. So earlier it was used to be you join an organization as a marketing executive and then you spend 10, 15 years and then you grow and become sort of a head of marketing. Those are becoming very, very, that is no longer, especially when all of you sort of join the corporate world, will not be sort of there. It is important to be agile. It is important to be open to do new things. Be not married to one thing. For example, I have to do marketing only. I can't do operations. I can't do sales. I can't do HR. You have to be agile, and that's what you go and learn at your graduate and postgraduate, right? To how do you do general management, right? It's not about specialization. It's all about general management at the end of the day. So that's important to be open to do newer things. From a consulting perspective, specifically, I think one thing which really is important is strategic thinking. I think, and which is also about sort of breaking down problems. For example, when you get a big problem, how do you break it down into smaller problems and try to solve for it? If you have that sort of a thinking, I think really helps you from a consulting perspective. Second, which is very important, is and a lot of people don't realize is project management. Because a lot of work in consulting is about making sure your projects are happening on time, or whatever work is happening, you're managing it on time. And for example, what I did at my MBA and my undergrad was I was part of these placement committees, right? And these are crazy sort of the place to be. But I think one of the best learnings on project management and program management has come from these placement committees, trying to sort of get 300 odd people placed within a week, with companies coming in day and night. How do you manage that chaos? Make sure people get placed. Some of them are happy, some of them are not happy, or companies are happy at the end of the day, and everything. I think that sort of a program management is one of the craziest program management I've ever done. Was running and working with these placement committee. I think that's something that more you do, more you will learn. I think another thing from a consulting perspective is consulting firms really look for people who are well-rounded, right? They don't only look for people who have great grades. Obviously, that's a criteria and that's a filter criteria, but they are looking for people who are well-rounded. So feel free to do a lot of other things, a lot of extracurriculars, a lot of things which makes you happy, whether anything, whether it's whatever you really like. And lastly, try to take up as many leadership roles as possible. I think that really adds value, not only to you. I think it also adds value to your resume. But overall, I think it helps you learn new things. How do you sort of build something, manage things, etc., etc. So those are some of the things for someone who's sort of really keen to do consulting, and overall in general, I think from a career perspective.
That was really a nice advice, and we would really look forward to that, to follow that and have that implemented in our life. So, sir, coming to the end of the interview, the last question from our side would be that how do you think LinkedIn can prove as a vital and a crucial platform for graduates like us, and how can we make our profiles look attractive?
Sure. So I think what has happened, I think LinkedIn over the last couple of years, and I would say there has been exponential growth in people who have now sort of joined LinkedIn and have started using LinkedIn. Is a very interesting source. I think it's one of the very few professional network sort of platforms that we have. So LinkedIn, according to me, primarily helps you do two things. One is obviously networking. You get to meet new people, you get to sort of network with them, understand what they're doing, etc. The second is knowledge sharing. I think it's becoming a very critical platform to share knowledge, and more the people share knowledge, better it's for them. So if you really want to sort of make your profile attractive and make it sort of stand out, I think one of the things you should invest and students should invest in, how do you do more and more knowledge sharing? If you're reading a book, right? If you read something interesting, can you share the knowledge about that, what you have learned? If you've seen something or if you have even read something in your coursework, new case study, etc. The more you share knowledge and more you start doing that, more people start sort of following you, looking forward for the content that you create, and that's how you sort of stand out from the crowd. So great content always sort of attracts people at the end of the day. So more you share knowledge, content, that will make it more attractive at the end of the day. I think that's the real sort of gist at LinkedIn. The good quality content always attract more people, more engagement, and things like that. And organizations honestly have started looking at LinkedIn for potential candidates. So whenever we are sort of shortlisting final candidates, people go through their LinkedIn profiles just to understand what they've done, what sort of knowledge they've shared, what sort of posts they've made, etc. So it's important for students like you to share as much knowledge. Don't plagiarize, don't copy content, but share your own original content, and use this as a great networking opportunity to understand what others are doing, not only in India but I think globally. I think there is a lot of, and that's the beauty of that platform, right? You can connect with anyone across the globe. It's not restricted to say just people in India.
Thank you so much, sir. We would definitely take that advice and implement in our profiles as well. I think this interview will be very beneficial for all of us. We really had a great time having you here and really appreciate the fact that you took out time for us and for upcoming generation to come. Hope you have a great day, sir. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thanks.